1 Chapter 1, Return. Pegasus Star, Bakuan Icefield, Underground Secret Training Base. The small room had only a bed and a table, arranged with exceptional simplicity. The empty iron-gray walls gave a cold and oppressive feeling. On the table sat a small cupcake, the only thing in the room that could evoke warmth. Sitting upright on the bed, Su Hui rolled a piece of paper into a stick, then inserted the small paper stick into the cupcake. A trace of satisfaction appeared on Su Hui's aged face, seemingly quite pleased with his paper rolling skills. He told the young man standing at the table.
088, today is your 18th birthday. From today onwards, you are an adult. You can leave the training base and officially serve the organization.
Su Hui spoke with a sense of nostalgia.
I still remember when you first came here at the age of 6. You were the most talkative, always loved to speak incessantly. I always thought you wouldn't last long. Unexpectedly, you survived and passed through hellish training. Congratulations. All thanks to the teacher's nurturing.
088 was an exceptionally handsome young man. His smile was like the autumn sunlight, clean and bright, filled with charisma. Though Su Hui was knowledgeable and experienced, he had to admit this young man was indeed unrivaledly handsome. The clarity and spiritual aura between his brows resembled that of a deity. Plastic surgery can freely change a person's appearance, but it could never achieve this effect. The organization injected genetic potions from the spirit race into the youths, raised them in a competitive manner to let them fight amongst themselves and eliminate the weak. Through this method, the youths continually evolved with mutations. The evolution direction for number 088 was quite peculiar. His appearance constantly approached perfection, showcasing extraordinary charisma. Despite his chatter and ordinary skills, 088 managed to survive mostly owing to his extraordinary charisma. Su Hui must also admit that his favoritism towards 088 was influenced by the latter's charisma. This special charisma proved particularly effective in social interactions. It's more valuable than typical assassins. A talent like 088, the organization wouldn't send him to be a frontline assassin. This boy will certainly live long and have a promising future.
Tomorrow you will leave the base and formally serve the organization.
Su Hui said.
As your mentor, I hope you'll rise continually, and in the future, have a chance to take care of this old man. The teacher is kidding. You are an elder of the Blood God Association. It's not for me to take care of you.
088 said with a hint of emotion.
I remember very clearly, there were 6 batches totaling 1,200 people, and in the end, only a few dozen remain. Without the teacher's care, I would have died long ago. There's no way I could have passed the hellish training.
Su Hui nodded, satisfied with 088's attitude. Though the young man's chatter was often annoyingly persistent, when he needed to speak favorably, he did so especially well. He sighed deeply.
Hellish training is extremely cruel, with only a 4% survival rate.
The Blood God Association spared no expense in raising them competitively, but the high elimination rate was somewhat poignant for Su Hui. After more than a decade, the efforts have not been in vain. The young generation has grown, each showcasing unique talents, and they will become the backbone of the organization. Looking at number 088, just 18 years old, speaking of past tragedies with a calm and serene demeanor, without any emotional turmoil, he is a fitting killer. Su Hui withdrew his sentiment, speaking calmly.
Only toughness and ruthlessness can control your destiny.
He further exemplified.
I remember very clearly during your trial at 15, there was an extraordinarily gifted girl, I believe her name was 006. If she hadn't shielded you from a sword and left the healing potion for you, she wouldn't have died. Indeed, 006 was too sentimental.
This memory long past, the brilliant star-like eyes of 088 showed a hint of reminiscence. The event had occurred so long ago, he nearly forgot it. The bright and gentle girl hemorrhaged to death right before him. He couldn't clearly recall the specifics of her appearance now, only remembering her tightly gripping his hand as she died, with blood-stained hands indistinctly drenched in gore. The feeling of powerlessness of not being able to grasp anything always woke him in the depths of night. And the girl's gaze slowly dimming upon her death, like a flame extinguishing, leaving only cold ashes. The cruel and cold, ugly death left an indelible mark deep in his soul on that day.
Life cannot be redone, and in our profession, decisions must be made carefully and calmly.
Su Hui also wished to show goodwill, exceptionally sharing many of his insights.
Teacher, what if life could be redone?
088 suddenly questioned.
Supposing you could return to being 18, would you still follow this path?
Su Hui dismissively waved his hand.
This hypothetical is meaningless. Time can never change, and life cannot be redone.
088 earnestly stated.
Teacher, if you could be reborn, would you prefer to be an ordinary person or continue as a cold-blooded butcher? What are you saying? Such insolence.
Though Su Hui aimed to show favor to 088, he wouldn't tolerate the youth's nonsense and disrespect. As the head trainer of the underground base, Su Hui held the power over life and death within the base. Even after passing the hellish training, 088 was still a mere pawn before him without the standing for such disrespect. Su Hui's old face turned gloomy, his drooping triangular eyes fixating fiercely on 088. 088, though lacking skill, was one of the rare clever individuals in the base. His insolence surely had some reason. Retaining his crafty nature, Su Hui raised his voice loudly, yet kept a calm inner observation of 088. 088 smiled subtly.
To face change calmly, to remain uninjured by provocation, deep composure. Teachers, 80 years of nurturing truly astonishing. You are indeed a disciple's exemplary model.
Su Hui remained silent. The more arrogant 088 became, the more suspicious Su Hui grew. How could a mere third-level warrior like 088 have the confidence to challenge a seventh-level expert like him? Su Hui extended his sixth sense. There were no other people within the room, nor signs of people outside. Could it be a bomb hidden in the room? Could 088 wish for mutual destruction? 088 had no access to a powerful bomb.
Teacher must wonder how I would suddenly seek suicide by provoking you.
088's curious yet cautious posture amused him further.
Teacher, I already told you. I was reborn, so I want to change my destiny and live differently. Oh, where did you come back from?
Su Hui pondered, steadier now, unconcerned with 088's sarcasm, instead inquiring about specifics.
I returned from 100 years later, claiming to be older than the teacher.
Sighing, 088 said.
Unfortunately, I couldn't bring back my formidable power, alas. From 100 years later.
Su Hui's old eyes held a complex gaze, torn between the impulse to apprehend 088 immediately and the curiosity to listen to what else the youth could spin. He inquired.
088, how is it 100 years later? My name is not 088, it's the dull number you all assigned. My name is Gao Xuan.
Correcting Su Hui, Gao Xuan calmly continued.
100 years later, the galaxy was engulfed in wars of countless species, and humanity neared extinction. It's a story of tears.
Gao Xuan expressed relief.
Luckily, I was reborn and lived again. Even in the worst scenario, living an extra 100 years is a blessing. Fate treats me kindly. I see.
Su Hui seemed to want to ask more, but suddenly he spread his arms slightly, source power erupted around him, his thin, aged body like a predator eagle, fiercely lunging at Gao Xuan. Chapter 2 God-Slaying. The cultivation of source power on Pegasus Star is divided into 10 levels, with 7th level source power being a very formidable expert. Although Su Hui was over 80, under the stimulation of source power, his body instantly surpassed human limits. His attack, akin to a swooping eagle, was faster than a shooting arrow. Su Hui wanted to capture him alive, as he didn't know what madness 088 had succumbed to and needed to get to the bottom of it. Just as Su Hui swooped down, Gao Xuan sidestepped, narrowly avoiding Su Hui's strike and retreating to the corner of the room. This room was only about 10 square meters, and Gao Xuan had no further room to retreat after backing into the corner. Su Hui landed and turned lightly, but did not rush to attack again. His previous attack didn't use full force, yet with the other's ability, he shouldn't have been able to dodge it. Su Hui knew very well the depth of cultivation of these young practitioners. Although they had all survived the harsh hellish training, their actual cultivation was only at level 3 to level 4. The training was more about tempering the mind. Of course, for someone in their late teens, mastering third-level source power was already considered a genius level, sufficient to dominate peers of the same age. But compared to a 7th-level expert like him, the gap was immense. Within this group at the base, Gao Xuan ranked last. Him being able to dodge Su Hui's eagle-like attack was beyond his expectations. Moreover, Gao Xuan's source power fluctuations were subtle, clearly not surpassing the 3rd level. It was only through preemptive judgment and the most suitable reaction that he avoided Su Hui's strike. There were no complex techniques involved, the most crucial aspect was discerning judgment. Su Hui looked Gao Xuan up and down.
I didn't realize you had such skills. I underestimated you before.
Gao Xuan shook his head slightly.
You didn't underestimate me. It's just that I've returned after a rebirth, and a century's worth of vision and experience far surpass yours. Dodging this strike wasn't hard. I'm starting to believe you've truly been reborn. I want to capture you and extract all the memories from your mind to see what the next 100 years are truly like.
Su Hui squinted his old eyes with a sinister smile. Whether Gao Xuan spoke truth or lies, capturing him would clarify everything. Gao Xuan also smiled.
Teacher, you are still so decisive and ruthless.
He then shook his head.
But unfortunately, I've already won this round.
Su Hui didn't know what method Gao Xuan had. His gaze sharpened, ready to strike, but Gao Xuan gestured.
Hold on, teacher, put away your cyan silk sword and triangular flying spike for now, and don't hastily unleash your gale source power technique.
Hearing Gao Xuan mention his most skilled weapons and secret techniques, Su Hui's old face finally changed color. Living at the base for over a decade, he had never revealed his true martial arts or secret techniques. Even his closest friends knew nothing of these secrets. How did Gao Xuan know? Gao Xuan seemed to understand Su Hui's confusion. He said somewhat helplessly.
I told you I've been reborn. Not only do I know what you're skilled at, but I also know you have a daughter named Xu Yang, living in Mingjing City. You also have a granddaughter and a granddaughter's husband, quite the lively family.
Su Hui's old face turned iron blue. His daughter was his greatest secret. The organization knew nothing, so how did Gao Xuan?
Trying to threaten me with my daughter is impossible.
Su Hui was decisive and, without hesitation, activated the cyan silk sword in his right wrist. The cyan silk sword was woven with super fibers mixed with titanium steel wire, as thin as a hair, and 4 meters long. Only someone with Su Hui's substantial source power could manipulate the cyan silk sword through special techniques. At this distance, one sweep of the cyan silk sword would reduce Gao Xuan to chopped fragments.
Xing!
A sharp and prolonged sword cry suddenly rang in Su Hui's mind. At the same time, an unmatched sharp crimson divine light deeply etched into Su Hui's eyes. At that moment, Su Hui's mind went blank. When Su Hui regained his senses, he was horrified to find his eyes completely red, and Gao Xuan's incomparably handsome face seemed tinged with a layer of blood, slightly blurred and distorted. At some point, a crimson-sheathed long sword appeared in Gao Xuan's hand. The crimson sword sheath was ancient and exquisite in design, exuding a strong sense of wickedness and danger. Faintly, it seemed there were fierce, low howls emanating from the scabbard, as if demons were about to spring from within. Su Hui found the sword in Gao Xuan's hand familiar, yet he couldn't remember where he'd seen it. What was worse, Su Hui didn't know what had just transpired. Now, his entire body couldn't exert any strength, and all his internal source power had dissipated. He was like a puppet, completely losing control of his body. Gao Xuan raised the dark red-sheathed sword to Su Hui's old eyes.
Teacher, do you remember this sword?
Su Hui's bloodshot old eyes slowly turned, but he couldn't speak. Gao Xuan considerately said,
Teacher, you took a sword to the forehead, your mind almost got pierced through, and you can't speak at the moment. Just listen.
He continued speaking to himself.
This sword is the god-slaying sword hidden deep in the base treasury. You remember, right?
Su Hui suddenly recalled, yes, this sword is indeed the god-slaying sword hidden deep in the base treasury. The god-slaying sword is a marvel from ancient times. Its sharpness is unmatched, it shatters everything, and nothing can withstand it. It is said to cut down the divine and split the stars. However, this sword is extremely eerie. As long as the sword master fights with the god-slaying sword, they will undoubtedly be devoured by it. After acquiring the god-slaying sword, the Blood God Association studied it for a while and finally concluded, the god-slaying sword kills others and oneself, without exception. Modern technology can surpass star systems externally and decipher human genes internally. No matter how well the god-slaying sword performs, it is merely a cold weapon that cannot compare with modern technological weapons. Yet, the danger of the god-slaying sword cannot be controlled. This is also the characteristic of marvels, possessing special powers while also having uncontrollable hazards. Marvels are entities with special powers, non-man-made. The existence and operation modes of marvels are not limited by basic physical rules and cannot be fully understood by intelligent life. Therefore, the god-slaying sword was placed deep in the treasure vault of the underground base. Su Hui had seen the god-slaying sword once, and that was 10 years ago. Su Hui wondered, how did Gao Xuan know the god-slaying sword was hidden in the treasury? And how did he get it? Didn't Gao Xuan know the dangers of the god-slaying sword? This god-slaying sword is indeed monstrous. Even he, a 7th-level source power expert, had no power to resist under the god-slaying sword. However, Gao Xuan carrying the god-slaying sword into battle means certain death as well. Su Hui caught his breath and silently sneered as he said,
The god-slaying sword kills others and oneself, without exception. You'll die with me.
Gao Xuan smiled and said,
Because I have so many secrets I want to tell someone. Teacher, could you hold on a little longer, please?
Su Hui was somewhat confused in mind, but he barely grasped Gao Xuan's meaning. It seemed like Gao Xuan found a way to use the god-slaying sword.
Teacher, you are truly clever, you figured it out right away.
Even though Su Hui didn't speak, Gao Xuan seemed to see through his thoughts as he said,
The god-slaying sword kills others and oneself. This is due to the sword's eerie taboo.
As he spoke, Gao Xuan drew the god-slaying sword and gently stroked the 4 complex patterns at the base of the blood-red blade.
See, these 4 words are clearly written. Those who see blood shall die.
He laughed again.
Teacher, you understand now, the god-slaying sword must not see blood. Seeing blood means death.
Upon hearing this, Su Hui's spirit refreshed, becoming unusually sober.
Then you're doomed. Teacher, even as sly as you are, facing death you become so stupid, it's truly disappointing.
Gao Xuan said slowly.
Since I dare to use the god-slaying sword, I naturally have a method to avoid its harm.
Su Hui remained silent. Indeed, it was a simple truth. He shouldn't have missed it. He was just blinded by hatred and anger, losing the ability to think. Gao Xuan slightly shook his head.
Teacher, you're at fault here. At this moment, you should hold on to the topic and curiously ask me what method I'm using.
Su Hui was very weary. He wanted to close his eyes, but he still wanted to hear Gao Xuan's secret of controlling the god-slaying sword.
Teacher, your weary yet persistent look is really fitting, it kind of touches me.
Although Gao Xuan spoke this way, the smile on his face slowly faded.
But you, cold-blooded scum, also want to hear my secret. You're not worthy.
The sudden insult made Su Hui's eye twitch. But in his current state, he lacked the strength to express anger. Gao Xuan said sincerely.
Teacher, rest assured, even though I detest you, the basic courtesy as a disciple is still there. I will send your daughter's entire family to hell to accompany you, letting your family be reunited happily.
Su Hui was already clinging to life, and upon hearing this, his old eyes widened, staring at Gao Xuan. His old face also became eerily sinister. He wanted to curse Gao Xuan but couldn't utter a word. The intense and furious emotions quickly burned away the little life force Su Hui had left. In just a few seconds, blood spread in Su Hui's eyes and his head slowly drooped, yet his face maintained that look of anger and sinister expression. Gao Xuan reached out and gently patted Su Hui's head.
Teacher, it's just a joke. Why are you so agitated?
He said with some amusement.
Your sinister little expression is quite funny. Too bad, 006, 022, 031, 055, 091, including over 1,000 other unnamed fellows can't see it.
Gao Xuan murmured to himself.
They died much more miserably than you. They didn't even have the chance to be angry.
He gently caressed the intricate red sword sheath and said softly.
With this sword I vow, I will seek vast justice from the Blood God Association for myself and all brothers and sisters.